15.
14.
Here we go.
11.
Ready, X.
Have a great show, everybody.
9. 8.
Have fun.
7.
You too.
6.
It's a really, really dead room. Front of house is equipped with a constellation system, which is a series of mics up in the ceiling that pick up the ambience of the room, and plays through those speakers along the way. And they can create a virtual size of the room. They can make the room feel really big, or they can make the room feel really small and intimate. Every square inch of space on the wall, anything that's wooden, not a video screen, is sound soak, diffraction grating. So if you get close over there, you'll see that it's full of holes. And it's dead, absolutely dead. It's amazing. When I mix an audience, I want to hear the whole wash of the audience, but I also want to hear one person getting the joke. We also have some lavs that are strategically placed along the rail down there and along the rail on the side. So I get the close-up laughs with the lavs in the front, and then I get the wash in the back. Back here we have our routers. Over here, the receivers for all the wireless mics. Over here, all the wireless mics. I use 24 channels, either hand or lavalier, depends. But there are certain mics that are assigned. But this is basically where it all starts, gets put into the routers, and then we pick them up at our relative stations, which is kind of fun.
Cool. Conan was here during these iconic years before he went out west. So who mixed the entire Conan's run?
Production mix?
Production mix.
Me.
That's so cool.
Yeah, 15 and a half years.
So prior to Fallon, you were Conan's mixer?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Give me a little bit of a tour of kind of what's happening over here. Then we'll do a little tour over here. I'd love to know the director, AD, where they're coming from before we get into the boards.
Okay, so these Neves I rescued from David Letterman's control room when we started Conan in '93, and I used them ever since. They gave me a Waves package, and I'm using this now as a limiter. If Jimmy is screaming, he's got a dynamic range that goes from a whisper in an interview to, "You bet, oh my God, it's the greatest thing." So I have this limiter on him, and if he's screaming, I should get 3 to 4 dB of gain reduction on it. And that's basically all I use on him. I use the board compressor as a soft limiter. I try not to compress him too much because then that's just gonna suck the room right into his mic. And so as his energy is going up and down, I'm constantly up here riding his level. He'll come through the curtain, I'll have him down about here. And then maybe during an interview, if he's quiet, I'll crank him up a couple dB. And I'll go back and forth. I'll ride the group fader wherever I have to, as opposed to just squashing everything together. And I'm constantly tweaking buttons. In the beginning of the show, my move is kind of like here. I keep the music down a little bit. I keep the audience about there. That's a sweet spot. And I bring the announcer up, and the announcer's right in the pocket, and the energy is there in the room, and the band is nice and tight. And then he goes, "Jimmy Fallon." I'm pushing this toward the screen. And so while the band is still playing and he's saying, "Hi, welcome, welcome," and you see him pointing in the audience, I only open him up to about here, and I let him fight the energy, if you will, of the room, keeping the crowd going, and does the downbeat to stop, and the band stops playing. Then I'll come up on the audience and I'll put him on his mark. And then as he settles into the monologue, I'll crack Higgins. When we first started with Jimmy's late night, I didn't have this. And I was holding my finger, getting ready for the cue for what I had to do, but ever so close, and it sensed the heat of my finger, and it did it.
Without even touching it?
Yeah, I didn't make physical contact with it, and the cue went, and Jimmy ran with it. It turned out to be funny. But then I said, I need either a keyboard or some sort of physical switch. And then they said, we'll get you what they call a DAD pad. It's an add-on to the system. And these are physical switches where I can just hit that. Or when we're rehearsing the stand-ins, the stand-in guy for Jimmy will go, and we'll be back with more Tonight Show after this. You only get to use 3 seconds of that. Fair use. You know, a bass riff, punches, a slap, this. Oh, you know what that sound means? It's time for the final round. And I try and keep this row empty every day. I clean it out in case I get cues for monologue jokes or what have you. So I will just put the audience at a nominal level. I'll have Jimmy's mic up, and I'll make sure I'm hitting all these cues.
It's me.
And I got to make sure I hit the cues right because that's the joke.
And then if I remember correctly, this is director coming out of your
yes,
left
that's my
ear.
director hot mic. So that's the director's headset for the entire show. And I have level control of that over here. See director hot right there. And then for Pinna Cues in my ears, I put the AD over here in this speaker. And likewise, I have a control for the AD as well. You know, I can tell who's talking to me not only by the sound of their voice, but from where they're coming from.
Okay, so if I'm counting, you've got your rears, there's one of them.
Yeah.
You've got 5 up here, and the tons of people who are actually listening to the show, which seems like your number one priority, but you also have director, multiple ADs, stage managers, your actual audio people. And all of this is playing at the exact same time that you're actually mixing the show.
Yes, and we have a second AD now, Scott, who keeps track of delivery of graphics, let's say, delivery of sound effects. So this will light up and Scott will go, hey, Fred, and I'll go, what's that, man? He says, they just dropped a scratch track in one-shot interview because we have Slack here too, which is yet another layer of people talking to each other, and Scott keeps track of that.
Wow.
Because I physically can't stare at that all day. So I basically start my setup over here. That's our announcer mic. And then Zog is Seth Herzog. He's our warm-up guy, the handheld mic. From the center section to the left, we've got Jimmy. He's on RF1. If we have to go to his backup, there's RF2 on a second input. Then our talk guests. The desk mic on Jimmy's desk is practical. It's not a prop. But we have 2 versions of the desk. One is regular desk, which is at a regular nominal level, and another one is padded down in case he picks it up to sing. And so I always keep the singing version of the desk mic landed in case he does that spontaneously. But I have used the other version of the desk, which we track, to cover a mic hit. And then these are all production mics, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These were all on characters in a bit. And so that's where I start building that. All mics go through a group, which then goes to the program bus. If I do this and I have, let's say, 5 mics open on the panel and Jimmy goes, we'll be back right after this, they're all gone instantaneously. And over here is all the line level stuff. It's nice to be able to split between the 2 machines because one sound effect might have to be louder than the other, so I can, adjust them like that. This is the bed, this is the effect. This is Jimmy's laptop. He's got a laptop on his desk. Sometimes he'll play a track for it. If he says I'm going to play the track, they also send me the track. In case something goes wrong with his computer, I hit that. These are graphics machines. Oftentimes is audio married to the graphic. For rehearsal, it may have a theme to a bit that we're doing, and that gets married to the graphic for rehearsals, and then the Roots will play it live. These are the 30 mics I have hanging over the audience, which we took a look at earlier. Here's the rear ones, here are most of the front ones. The output of that, 4 channels, left and right front, left and right rear, go to 2 destinations. One is on a track over here on the Pro Tools that I label audience. So that's a pre-fader of the audience onto the Pro Tools. And I also land that over here, applause front and applause rear on 2 faders there, and I use 1 VCA to operate them both. And of course, to the right is the music room feed. So Lawrence does the world's greatest music mix in all of television. part of my job is, I have it VCA'd here, and this is where I control it, is to protect the integrity of what he's doing. If I open my audience too much, it's going to tank out his mix. And so I've got to find that delicate balance of capturing the energy of the room and then his mix, and then lay the announcer on top of it.
Can you explain what tank out means?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's the audience mic pick up the audience reactions, applause and laughter. They can also hear the speakers in the audience. They want the music in the house to be nice and loud and crisp and clean for the audience so that they get excited about it. And so if I go a little too far on here, now I'm hearing the band more from the audience than I'm hearing it from Lawrence. And so it mixes together and makes it kind of a reverby, sort of sloshy thing. And we don't want that for the bulk of our viewers or listeners, if you will.
So while you're mixing, you're listening to a bunch of people all the time.
Right.
You're talking to yourself for post-production to make sure if there's anything.
I'm leaving
Jimmy's
myself
coughing,
verbal notes, yeah.
If Jimmy's coughing, you're saying, hey, I want to catch that. You're cleaning it all up. You're kind of giving yourself post-production notes.
Yep.
Simultaneously to a ton of people talking to you, you talking to yourself, all of that.
And they wonder why I drink. No, I'm kidding.
I know you've done thousands and thousands of late night talk shows by this point, but how does it feel 5 minutes before you air?
Fun. It's a rush. Yeah, it's a rush. Yeah, sure. Especially when we count down to from 20 seconds. I got to come up. I got to hit the applause has got to hit a certain mark. The music's got to hit a certain mark. I got to lay the announcer over the top of it. And when it's all in the pocket and it's all happening, that's probably the happiest I am all day. When I brought the fader down for the last time on Conan, after 15 and a half years, I was coming up to this room after a week of Conan reruns, and we launched Jimmy's Late Night. So I knew I was going to something else. And when I pull the fader down here, I'm going to something else that, for the first time ever, does not involve this building. And that's... it's bittersweet, but I'm kind of looking forward to it.
So 45 years, arguably, I'm trying to rack my brain here. I don't know if there's any mixer in this organization that has pushed more programming and cultural moments out than you.
That's possible.
So what has this career and this building meant to you?
Home away from home. Easily enough. It's been a charmed existence, for sure. I got to work with really, really great people. Dr. Ruth Westheimer on Sunday nights, her network radio show when she broke big as a superstar. 3 years of Sunday nights there. And, Phil Donahue, a short while in the news department, Saturday Night Live, then Conan, then Jimmy. I got to actually open the fader of 1A, Brian Williams, saying NBC is calling the presidential race for Barack Obama. And I got a chill up my spine. I was babysitting specials in the news division when the Berlin Wall came down. We had to go live to Brokaw when the kids were all climbing the wall and hammering away at it. I wasn't there, but I was a conduit, if you will, to get that information to whoever happened to be watching it. And that's kind of neat when you look back at it. Wow, what a great ride. It's unbelievable.
Is that a wrap?
Seems to be.
Fred Zeller.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
There you go.
Black.